When you stop chasing approval, you become unstoppable. This is emotional freedom redefined. You've been trained to care too much, to chase approval, to please people, to prove your worth. And every time you do, you lose control. Because the more you care about what's outside of you, the less you own what's inside of you. Detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. It's the ability to walk through chaos without letting it pull you apart. When you stop chasing validation, you reclaim power. When you stop clinging to outcomes, you regain peace. This is not about not feeling, it's about not needing. This is how you take back control of your mind, your emotions, your life. This is the art of detachment. The prison of caring too much. You care too much. That's the truth. You care what they think. You care what they say. You care how they see you. And that's why you're not free. Caring too much is emotional slavery. You think it's empathy, but it's dependence. You think it's connection, but it's control, their control over you. Because every time you seek approval, you hand someone else the key to your peace. That's the prison you've built, and you didn't even know you were doing it. You're not chained by steel. You're chained by attention. You're trapped in the need to be liked, to be accepted, to be seen. And every time you try to prove your worth to someone else, you lose a little bit of yourself. You have to understand this. The more approval you seek, the less self-respect you keep. That's the equation. That's the trap. You wake up checking your phone for validation. You measure your value in likes, comments, praise. You let other people's opinions decide how you feel about your life. And that's why you're exhausted. Because no matter how much you give, it's never enough. No matter how much you please, it's never permanent. Approval is temporary. Peace is eternal. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. Say it again. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. That's not arrogance. That's freedom. The truth is simple. When you care too much about being liked, you stop being real. You start performing instead of living. You wear masks to match what they expect, and each mask takes you further from who you are. You become a reflection of their opinions instead of the expression of your truth. And that's the prison of caring too much. You lose your voice trying to please the noise. You lose your confidence trying to fit their mold. You lose your identity trying to keep everyone comfortable. And all the while, you think you're being kind. You think you're being thoughtful. But what you're really being is controlled. Because when you react to opinions, you give power away. When you chase validation, you surrender peace. When someone's disapproval shakes you, you've already lost control. You have a choice. Keep caring about their opinions, or start caring about your freedom. That's the key. Here's a hard truth. You can't make everyone happy. You can't make everyone understand you. You can't make everyone respect you. But you can make yourself free. You can reclaim your power. You can stop giving energy to those who drain it. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. Say it again until it burns into your mind. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. Every time you care too much about opinions, you shrink your potential. Because energy spent on validation is energy stolen from growth. And the people you're trying to impress, they're too busy seeking their own validation to even notice yours. It's not about them. It's about you. You're the one giving them that power. You see, the world has trained you to chase attention. It rewards visibility, not depth. It glorifies noise, not wisdom. It celebrates performance, not peace. But the real masters, the calm, the grounded, the unstoppable, they've learned the art of detachment. They stopped caring about applause. They started caring about alignment. You can do the same. You have a choice. Think about it. When was the last time you did something purely because you wanted to? Not because it would be seen, liked, or validated.
Most people can't even remember. They've forgotten what genuine peace feels like because they're addicted to reaction. And that addiction is subtle. You'll justify it by saying, "I just care." But caring too much becomes a cage when it costs you peace. Caring is good. Attachment is not. You're supposed to care with awareness, not with desperation. That's the difference between love and dependency, between compassion and control. When you stop reacting to opinions, you start respecting yourself. When you stop chasing attention, you start attracting respect. Because people respect calm. They respect confidence. They respect those who don't need validation to feel valuable. Here's how you start breaking free from that prison. Step 1. Notice your triggers. Who are you constantly trying to impress? Whose opinion still owns your peace? Write down the moments that make you anxious. Those are the chains. Step 2. Create emotional distance. When you feel the urge to react, pause. Don't reply, don't explain, don't defend. Breathe. Detach. Because that pause, that silence, is your freedom returning. Step 3. Build self-validation. Start giving yourself what you've been begging from others: approval, appreciation, permission. Say it to yourself: I'm enough. I'm proud of me. I'm calm because I'm in control. That's how you escape. Not by proving, but by protecting your peace. Let's be honest, this isn't easy. Caring feels noble. It feels good to be liked. But you have to understand, comfort is not the same as control. Approval is an addiction because it gives you a temporary high, but it costs long-term strength. You'll always feel empty when your worth depends on noise. You'll always feel weak when your peace depends on people. You don't need the world to clap for you to be worthy. You don't need validation to be valuable. You don't need attention to be at peace. You just need clarity, the kind that comes when you stop begging for permission to exist. Repeat this to yourself every day. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. Because peace lasts longer than applause. Peace outlives popularity. Peace outperforms pressure. When you live for validation, you die with regret. When you live for peace, you live with power. That's the shift. That's the awakening. That's the art of detachment beginning inside you. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. Most people don't even know who they are without others' opinions. They've built entire identities around attention. But you're different now. You see the game for what it is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to being controlled. You can't go back to being reactive. You can't go back to begging for validation that doesn't last. From this point forward, every time you feel the urge to react, you'll remember. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. You'll breathe. You'll detach. You'll take back control. And little by little, that prison will crumble. You've taken the first step. You've seen the chains for what they are. Now it's time to learn how to break them. You've understood that caring too much steals your power. But why do we keep chasing validation even when we know it's empty? Why do we keep returning to the noise that keeps us small? Because approval is an addiction, and it's time for detox.
Chapter 2. The Addiction to Approval. Approval feels good. That's why it's dangerous. Humans are wired to seek belonging. You were built to connect. You were built to be seen. You were built to be valued. But what once kept us alive has now become the very thing keeping us trapped. Because in the modern world, approval isn't connection, it's addiction. It's not about belonging anymore. It's about performing. It's not about being understood. It's about being seen. It's not about respect. It's about attention. And attention is the new drug. The likes, the comments, the compliments, the recognition. Each one gives you a quick hit, a spike of dopamine, and then it fades, and you chase it again. That's the loop. That's the high. That's the trap. Approval is a drug. Detachment is the detox. Say it again. Approval is a drug. Detachment is the detox. That's the truth most people will never face. Every scroll, every post, every notification, it's a digital slot machine. You're not looking for meaning, you're looking for hits. You refresh the feed because you want to feel something. You check who viewed your story because you crave significance. You wait for messages because you need validation. And the world rewards it. It rewards your addiction with likes, numbers, and fake connection. It feeds your ego, but starves your soul. You've mistaken attention for love. You've mistaken reaction for respect. You've mistaken validation for value. And every time you do, you weaken your center. You have to understand this. The world profits from your insecurity. The more you crave approval, the more predictable you become. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. That's the game. And most people will die playing it. But not you. Because you're waking up. Let's be clear, seeking approval isn't the problem. Needing approval is. There's a difference. Approval should be feedback, not fuel. It's something you notice, not something you need. When it becomes your oxygen, you suffocate your purpose. Think about it. How many dreams were abandoned because someone disapproved? How many ideas were never started because someone laughed? How many people live small because they fear judgment? That's not living. That's addiction disguised as caution. That's fear dressed up as humility. That's the prison of approval. Invisible, comfortable, deadly. You have a choice. You can keep chasing applause, or you can start chasing truth. Because the moment you need approval, you're no longer free. Here's the science behind it. Every like, every compliment, every nod of recognition releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. It's the same chemical released by gambling, sugar, and drugs. That's why you can't stop checking your phone. That's why silence feels uncomfortable. That's why criticism feels like pain, because your brain has been rewired to crave external affirmation. But here's what dopamine never gives you: peace. It gives you the spike, not the stability. The rush, not the root. The noise, not the nourishment. And every hit makes you need another. Because dopamine doesn't build satisfaction, it builds dependency. And dependency kills freedom. Approval is a drug. Detachment is the detox. Let's look at real life. You post a photo, it gets fewer likes than usual. Instantly, your mood drops. You feel invisible, you feel rejected. You don't even realize what's happening. Your self-worth just got measured by pixels. Your peace just got held hostage by strangers. Or maybe you're at work. You deliver great results, but your boss doesn't notice. You feel crushed. Not because the work lost value, but because the praise didn't arrive. See it clearly. Your peace is not your own anymore. It belongs to whoever decides to validate you next. That's the addiction. That's the disease. And the only cure is detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop craving. It means you act from alignment, not applause. It means you create, speak, move because it's true, not because it's popular. You don't need their permission. You don't need their reaction. You need your discipline. Because it's not about being liked. It's about being real. It's not about being accepted. It's about being authentic. It's not about being admired. It's about being aligned. That's the key.
So how do you detox? How do you break free from the addiction to approval? Step 1, starve the need. Every addiction loses power when you stop feeding it. Go a day without checking who liked, viewed, or commented. Resist the urge to explain your choices. Stop asking for permission to be yourself. At first, it'll feel like withdrawal. You'll feel restless, unseen, uncomfortable. That's good. That means the detox is working. Step 2, replace validation with purpose. When you act with purpose, you no longer need applause, because purpose fulfills what approval can't. Build something that outlasts opinions. Work so deeply that silence feels like peace, not punishment. Step 3, reclaim your reward system. Start giving yourself the dopamine. Reward effort, not praise. Celebrate consistency, not recognition. Remind yourself daily, I'm proud of the work, not the reaction. That's how you rewire your mind. That's how you regain control. And don't get it twisted. This won't make you emotionless. It will make you independent. You'll still feel love, gratitude, appreciation, but they won't own you. They'll flow through you, not control you. You'll stop living for claps. You'll start living from calm. Because once you detox from approval, you become unstoppable. You move differently, you think clearly, you attract authenticity instead of attention. You stop chasing validation and start embodying value. You stop reacting to opinions and start commanding respect. You become dangerous, not because you're cold, but because you're free. Listen carefully. The world will try to pull you back into the addiction. It'll whisper, what will they think? It'll tempt you with validation, comparison, and fear. But you'll remember this line. Say it out loud with me. Approval is a drug. Detachment is the detox. Again, approval is a drug. Detachment is the detox. Again, approval is a drug. Detachment is the detox. Because repetition builds discipline, and discipline builds freedom. That's your new mantra. That's your mental medicine. You don't need to be liked to be powerful. You don't need to be noticed to be valuable. You don't need to be praised to be peaceful. You just need to be you, consistent, grounded, detached. Let the world chase applause. You'll chase mastery. Let them seek validation. You'll seek evolution. Let them perform for attention. You'll perform for purpose. Because approval is temporary, but alignment is forever. You have a choice. Stay addicted to approval and remain predictable, or choose detachment and become powerful. That's your decision. That's your detox. You've seen the addiction for what it is. You've learned that every like costs you a piece of freedom. But once you break the cycle, you start living with purpose, not permission. And now it's time to take that control to the next level. Because peace doesn't come from what you get, it comes from what you let go. You've understood the addiction. Now it's time to master control. Next chapter, control what you can, release what you can't. Chapter 3, control what you can, release what you can't. You're exhausted, not because life is hard, but because you're trying to control everything. You're trying to control people. You're trying to control outcomes. You're trying to control what's already out of your hands. And that's why you're drained. You're not tired from effort. You're tired from resistance. You're fighting storms that were never meant for you to stop. Here's the truth. You can't control everything. You can only control yourself, your actions, your mindset, your response. Everything else, the weather, traffic, rejection, timing, it's not yours to own. And the sooner you accept that, the lighter you become. That's the key. You can't control outcomes. You can only control effort. Control the controllable, release the rest. Say it again. Control the controllable, release the rest. That's the formula for peace. Most people live in constant anxiety, not because their life is chaos, but because their expectations are. They think if they worry enough, plan enough, or push hard enough, they can force everything to go their way. But life doesn't respond to control. It responds to clarity. You can't force the storm to stop. You can only learn to stand strong in the rain. You can't control how people treat you. You can only control how long you let them. You can't control if they love you back. You can only control if you keep loving yourself. That's the truth. That's the power. Because real control isn't about domination. It's about direction. It's not about forcing outcomes. It's about focusing effort. You have a choice. Keep fighting for things you can't change, or master the things you can. That's the difference between anxiety and authority. Let's make it real. You can't control the weather. You can't control traffic. You can't control what people say about you. But you can control your reaction to all of it. If it rains, bring an umbrella. If traffic hits, play an audiobook. Use the time to grow. If they talk, let them. Their words are their reflection, not your reality. You see, control isn't about power over others. It's about power over yourself. Most people spend their whole lives reacting to what they can't change, complaining, blaming, stressing, and then wonder why they feel powerless. You're not powerless. You're just focused on the wrong things. The goal isn't to control everything. The goal is to control your energy inside anything. That's emotional discipline. That's mental toughness. That's freedom. Think of it like this. You're driving in heavy traffic. You can't control the cars ahead of you. You can't control the red lights. You can't control how fast the person in front decides to move. But you can control one thing: your state. You can either rage, yell, and ruin your peace, or you can turn up the right mindset and keep moving forward. That's the choice. That's the power you forget you have. You can't control how fast the world moves. You can only control how calmly you move through it. That's the discipline of detachment. The illusion of control is poison. It convinces you that peace will come after everything goes right. But peace doesn't come from everything going right. Peace comes from you handling things even when they go wrong. That's maturity. That's growth. That's freedom. You can't control timing. You can't control results. You can't control outcomes. You can control effort. You can control attitude. You can control persistence. That's all you ever needed. The rest, the timing, the results, the reactions, that's not your job. That's the universe's part. And when you try to do its job, you lose focus on your own. Control the controllable, release the rest. Say it again until it becomes instinct. Control the controllable, release the rest.
Let's break it down. Here's what control really looks like in daily life. Control your mind, because your thoughts create your reality. You can't control every thought that enters your head, but you can control which ones you feed. You can choose perspective. You can choose interpretation. You can choose focus. When your mind spirals into worry, stop and ask, is this something I can control? If not, let it go. That's the discipline of awareness. Control your habits. You can't control the outcome of your efforts immediately, but you can control the consistency of your actions. You can wake up early. You can train. You can read. You can work. You can stay ready for the opportunity, even if you can't control when it arrives. That's how winners move. They stop chasing certainty. They start chasing control over self. Control your emotions. You can't control how others act, but you can control whether you match their energy or protect your own. You can't control who betrays you, but you can control whether bitterness takes root. You can't control how fast healing comes, but you can't control showing up for yourself daily. That's mastery. That's peace. Let me tell you something that changes everything. You're not supposed to control everything. You're supposed to surrender what's not yours. Surrender doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. It means you know what to fight for and what to walk past. You know where your power begins and where it ends. The need to control everything is the ego's disguise for fear. You're afraid of being powerless. You're afraid of uncertainty. But control isn't safety, it's stress. Freedom is safety, and freedom begins where control ends. You don't need to hold the world together. You just need to hold yourself together. That's the truth. That's the discipline. You have to ask yourself, what's stealing your peace right now? What are you trying to fix, force, or predict that's not your responsibility? Write it down. Look at it clearly. If it's something you can't control, release it. If it's something you can control, act on it. That's the system. That's the order. That's how you build calm inside chaos. Because control isn't about perfection, it's about precision. It's about directing your effort to what actually matters. When you do that, anxiety loses its grip. When you stop trying to fix everything, you finally fix yourself. Control the controllable. Release the rest. Here's what happens when you live this way. Your stress goes down. Your focus sharpens. Your energy multiplies. Because now every action serves a purpose. You stop wasting power on noise. You start channeling it toward growth. You become grounded, centered, unshakable. You stop chasing the illusion of control and start mastering the art of control, the kind that begins within. So remember this. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you sail through it. You can't control the noise, but you can control your silence. You can't control others, but you can control yourself. That's real strength. That's true freedom. Control the controllable. Release the rest. Say it one more time. Control the controllable. Release the rest. That's your new law. That's your new mindset. You've learned now that trying to control everything only creates chaos. You've learned that peace isn't found in control, it's found in focus. You've learned that calm isn't something you wait for, it's something you build by mastering yourself. But now it's time to take that calm and shape it into a weapon. Because control is the beginning of discipline, and discipline is what creates power. You've learned to release what you can't control. Now you'll learn how to simplify your emotions, your reactions, and your energy to move through life with clarity and calm authority. Next chapter, emotional minimalism. Less reaction, more power.
Chapter 4. Emotional minimalism, less reaction, more power. You don't need to react. You need to remain. That's the principle. That's the discipline. That's emotional minimalism. The same way minimalism clears a cluttered home, emotional minimalism clears a cluttered mind. You remove what doesn't serve you. You release what drains you. You stop reacting to everything and start mastering yourself. Because every unnecessary reaction is wasted energy. Every emotional impulse is a leak in your power. Every time you let something small pull you out of character, you shrink. The world teaches you to react to everything: opinions, insults, trends, emotions, people. But here's the truth. You don't have to respond to every signal that comes your way. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to people who've already made up their minds. You don't need to react. You need to remain. That's how you build emotional strength. That's how you gain peace. Most people are emotional hoarders. They collect every opinion, every insult, every piece of drama that crosses their path and carry it like it's theirs to own. They fill their mind with unnecessary attachments. Who said what? Who didn't reply? Who doesn't like them? But emotional clutter is the reason for mental chaos. You can't focus when you're full of noise. You can't lead when you're led by reaction. You have to declutter your emotions the same way you declutter your space. Ask yourself, do I need this emotion? Does this reaction serve me? Does this deserve my energy? Most of the time, the answer is no. That's emotional minimalism, the discipline of less. Fewer reactions, fewer attachments, fewer emotional debts. Because every unnecessary reaction drains you, and every drop of energy wasted on noise is a drop stolen from your purpose. You have to choose what's worth your emotion. That's the key. Emotional minimalism doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop feeding. You stop feeding drama. You stop feeding negativity. You stop feeding the constant need to prove yourself. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about managing it. You don't become numb, you become neutral. And neutrality is power. Because emotion without direction is chaos. But emotion under control, that's strength. You have to understand, peace isn't found in reacting less. It's found in needing to react less. You don't need to match their energy. You don't need to respond to every challenge. You don't need to justify your silence. You just need to remain. You don't need to react. You need to remain. Say it again until it becomes instinct. You don't need to react. You need to remain. Think of your emotions like currency. Every reaction is a transaction. Every time you react, you spend energy. Every time you remain still, you save it. Weak people spend emotions on everything. Strong people invest emotions only where it matters. And here's the truth. Emotional overspending leaves you broke. It leaves you empty, drained, reactive, unstable. That's why most people are tired, not because of work, but because of worry. They waste energy on things that don't matter. They give emotional attention to people who don't matter. You can't live in peace if you keep paying attention to chaos. Emotional minimalism is about simplicity, focusing only on what you can control, letting go of what you can't. You can't control opinions. You can't control outcomes. You can't control how people treat you. But you can control your reaction. You can control your attention. You can control your inner state. That's power. Control the controllable, release the rest. React less, remain more. Let's get practical. How do you practice emotional minimalism in real life? Step 1. Create space between feeling and reaction. When something triggers you, pause. Don't text back, don't argue, don't respond. Breathe. Let the emotion rise, let it pass. Because every second you pause, you reclaim control. You don't need to fix every feeling instantly. You just need to let it exist without letting it rule you. The more you stretch that space, the stronger you get. Step 2. Choose your battles. Ask yourself, does this truly affect my peace, or is it just noise? If it's noise, don't feed it. Let silence handle it. You don't need to respond to every insult. You don't need to explain every decision. You don't need to justify your boundaries.
The moment you stop reacting to small things, big things start to fall into place. Step 3. Audit your emotional investments. Who drains you? What thoughts drain you? Which habits keep you reactive? Remove them. Replace them. Protect your peace like it's oxygen, because it is. Every no you say to emotional chaos is a yes to mental clarity. That's how you simplify your emotions. That's how you strengthen your mind. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. Being emotional doesn't make you deep. Being calm makes you powerful. Because emotion is easy, control is rare. Anyone can react, few can remain. And in a world addicted to reaction, stillness becomes dominance. The calm person always wins, not because they're colder,
but because they're clearer. Stillness equals strength. Silence equals stability. Discipline equals dominance. That's emotional minimalism. You remove excess emotion so your strength can breathe. Let's talk about what happens when you master this. You stop overthinking. You stop overreacting. You stop over-explaining. You conserve energy. You gain control. You move through life with quiet confidence. People won't understand you because you're no longer feeding the chaos they live in. They'll call you cold, distant, detached. But what they call detachment, you'll call discipline. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You need your peace. That's not ego, that's evolution. You've matured past emotional chaos. You've chosen stillness over stimulation, and that's what separates the reactive from the powerful. You have to remember, not everything deserves your reaction. Some things deserve your silence. Some things deserve your indifference. Some things deserve to die quietly in your absence. Because your attention is the most expensive thing you own. Where you put it determines your peace. Where you protect it determines your power. You don't need to react. You need to remain. Let them argue. Let them misunderstand. Let them project. You remain centered. You remain grounded. You remain calm. Because chaos can't touch a calm mind, and no one can manipulate what doesn't react. That's the secret of strength. So here's the challenge. Starting today, simplify your emotions. Don't chase drama. Don't feed noise. Don't invest in battles that don't serve you. When something bothers you, pause. When someone tests you, breathe. When life shakes you, remain. Every time you stay calm when you could have reacted, you win. Every time you protect your peace instead of proving your point, you evolve. Every time you stay still in the storm, you gain power no reaction could ever give you. That's the new rule. That's emotional minimalism. You don't need to react. You need to remain. You've learned now that power doesn't come from noise, it comes from neutrality. You've learned that reacting less doesn't make you weaker, it makes you wiser. You've learned that silence isn't avoidance, it's authority. But now it's time to go deeper, because remaining still isn't enough if you're still emotionally attached. Detachment isn't distance, it's control. You've learned to remain calm. Now you'll learn how to release everything that no longer serves you: thoughts, emotions, and attachments. Next chapter, the discipline of detachment, letting go without losing yourself.
Chapter 5. Detachment is not indifference. It's awareness. It's control. It's the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by what you feel. You can care without clinging. You can feel without falling. You can love without losing yourself. That's the essence of mastery. Most people don't understand detachment. They confuse it with coldness. They mistake calm for apathy. They think being detached means you stop caring. They're wrong. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffering from caring. It means you can hold emotion without being held hostage by it. It means you stay centered even when your heart is shaking. That's strength. That's power. That's peace. The truth is, indifference is a defense mechanism. It's what people build when they've been hurt too much. They numb themselves. They close off. They stop feeling. But detachment is awareness in action. It's emotional intelligence. It's choosing to feel everything, but letting nothing control you. The detached person doesn't run from emotion. They observe it. They study it. They master it. When anger rises, they don't explode. When sadness comes, they don't collapse. When joy appears, they don't lose focus. They remain steady, calm in all states. You can care without clinging. You can feel without falling. Say it again. You can care without clinging. You can feel without falling. That's the mantra of control. You see, emotions are like weather. They come, they go. They change without permission. You can't stop the rain, but you can choose not to drown in it. You can't stop the wind, but you can choose how you stand in it. That's what detachment is, standing tall in the storm. Indifference builds walls. Detachment builds awareness. Indifference says, I don't care. Detachment says, I care, but I control how much it moves me. One shuts down emotion, the other manages it. That's the difference between weakness and wisdom. Let's make this practical. Imagine someone insults you. Indifference ignores it, pretending it doesn't sting. Detachment feels the sting, then chooses not to react. You acknowledge the emotion, but you don't let it dictate your behavior. That's emotional mastery. Or take relationships. Indifference runs from connection. Detachment allows love, but sets boundaries. You give freely, but you don't beg for reciprocity. You share deeply, but you don't depend on it for validation. Because love built on attachment is dependency. Love built on detachment is freedom. That's the kind that lasts. That's the kind that empowers, not drains. You have a choice. You can love like a prisoner, chained by fear, jealousy, and control, or you can love like a master, calm, free, and secure in yourself. That's the key. Most people live in emotional extremes. They either overreact or shut down. They either drown or disconnect. They don't realize there's a third path. Balance. Detachment is that balance. You can feel fully and still be grounded. You can cry and still be composed. You can care and still have control. Because control doesn't mean avoidance. It means awareness. You don't run from emotion, you rise above it. That's the power of detachment. Staying human without losing your center. Here's the truth. Emotion is energy. If you let it control you, it consumes you. If you learn to channel it, it empowers you. The detached person turns emotion into focus. They use pain as fuel. They use rejection as redirection. They use discomfort as discipline. They don't get lost in the feeling, they get information from it. That's emotional intelligence in its highest form. That's self-control in action. Because detachment doesn't kill passion, it refines it. It turns chaos into clarity. You can't lead with emotion. You lead with awareness. Emotion informs you. It doesn't define you. You can care without clinging. You can feel without falling. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Let's talk about what detachment looks like in daily life. When someone doesn't text back, you don't spiral. You don't start creating stories or questioning your worth. You breathe. You observe the thought. You stay neutral.
When something goes wrong, you don't panic. You stay grounded in logic. You handle what's in your control and release what isn't. When someone disappoints you, you don't explode or chase. You let their actions reveal truth. You respond with calm clarity. That's detachment in motion. It's not weakness, it's strength under control. It's awareness without attachment. You can feel everything and still stay free. Here's a fact. You cannot control how you feel instantly, but you can control how long you stay stuck in the feeling. That's what separates the disciplined from the emotional. The emotional stay in the wave. The disciplined ride it, then return to the shore. Because emotion is temporary, reaction is optional. You don't need to escape feelings. You just need to stop becoming them. You are not your sadness. You are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. You are the observer of those emotions, not the victim. That's the truth of detachment. You watch emotion, not wear it. You use emotion, not become it. And here's the irony. When you detach, you actually feel deeper because your emotions are no longer distorted by fear, ego, or need. You can experience life with clarity. You can love without losing. You can succeed without obsession. You can fail without collapse.
You become unshakable, not because you're numb, but because you're stable. You don't need constant highs because you've mastered balance. You don't chase validation because you've found peace. That's detachment. It's not indifference, it's alignment. It's not avoidance, it's awareness. It's not coldness, it's control. You can care without clinging. You can feel without falling. Let me be clear. Detachment is a practice. It's not a switch you flip. It's a muscle you build. Every time you pause before reacting, you're training it. Every time you breathe through discomfort, you're strengthening it. Every time you let go instead of control, you're mastering it. Because detachment isn't about living less. It's about living wisely. It's about choosing where your emotional energy goes. You have a choice. You can keep letting your emotions run you, or you can run your emotions with awareness. That's power. That's freedom. So remember this. You're allowed to feel deeply. Just don't drown. You're allowed to love fully. Just don't lose yourself. You're allowed to care. Just don't cling. That's the balance. That's detachment. You can care without clinging. You can feel without falling. That's your new standard. That's emotional mastery. You've learned now that detachment is not about shutting down. It's about standing up inside yourself. You've learned that you don't have to numb emotion to master it. You just have to stop letting it control you. Because emotional strength isn't built through distance, it's built through discipline. You've learned to stay calm inside emotion. Now it's time to go deeper, to master how you handle endings, rejections, and loss without breaking your peace. You've learned detachment. Now you'll learn how to use it to reclaim your freedom. Next chapter, the power of walking away, when letting go becomes liberation.
Chapter 6. The Power of Walking Away. Walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's not surrender, it's strength. It's not giving up, it's growing up. That's the mindset you must build if you ever want true control. Because control is not about holding tighter, it's about knowing when to let go. True control is the ability to walk away from anything that threatens your peace. A person, a habit, an argument, a pattern, a job, a thought. The one who can walk away wins. Because walking away doesn't mean you lost something. It means you finally understood what's not worth keeping. That's the key. Most people stay where they no longer belong because they confuse comfort with control. They think staying means strength. They think fighting means loyalty. They think holding on means love. But here's the truth. Holding on to what's breaking you is not loyalty, it's self-betrayal. Fighting battles that drain your soul isn't noble, it's unnecessary. Clinging to what's no longer aligned doesn't prove your worth, it proves your fear. You have a choice. Keep fighting for what's fading, or free yourself for what's waiting. Because walking away isn't about leaving something behind, it's about moving towards something higher. Walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. Think about this. How much energy have you wasted arguing to be understood? How many sleepless nights have you spent trying to fix what doesn't want to be fixed? How many times have you explained your worth to people committed to misunderstanding it? Every moment like that is emotional debt. Every time you stay too long in chaos, you lose a piece of your clarity. Every time you argue to prove your value, you give your power away. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to defend your peace. You don't need their permission to leave. That's the discipline. That's the growth. That's real maturity. Walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. Here's the truth no one tells you. Not every battle is meant to be fought. Not every person is meant to be convinced. Not every situation is meant to be saved. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. You don't fight. You don't chase. You don't explain. You simply walk away. Because when you walk away,
You stop playing their game. You stop feeding their energy. You stop letting chaos rent space in your mind. Silence is your final move. Distance is your final statement. You can't lose anything real by walking away. Only illusions, only attachments, only noise. And once it's gone, you'll realize something. Peace was never found in winning arguments. It was found in not needing to have them in the first place. Let's make it practical. Step 1. Identify what drains you. Look at your life. Who leaves you exhausted after every interaction? What situations constantly pull you into negativity? What routines or habits keep you stuck? Write them down, because awareness is the first act of freedom. If something consistently steals your energy, it doesn't belong in your life, no matter how familiar it feels. That's the key. Energy doesn't lie. If your peace disappears when someone enters the room, that's your sign. If your joy fades when you think about a situation, that's your signal. If your body tenses every time you go to work, that's your truth. You don't need another opinion. You already know what needs to end. Step 2. Accept that not everything needs closure. Sometimes closure means accepting silence. Sometimes it means creating distance. Sometimes it means forgiving yourself for staying too long. You can't control how they respond. You can only control how you release. Let go. Even if you don't get the apology, even if you don't get the explanation, even if they never understand. You don't need closure from them. You need closure from you. Step 3. Detach with grace. You don't owe anyone an argument. You don't owe anyone a goodbye. You don't owe anyone an emotional breakdown. Leave quietly. Leave cleanly. Leave completely. Your silence will say everything your words can't. Walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom.
Let me be clear. Walking away is hard. It will test your strength. Your ego will scream, "Stay." Your fear will whisper, "What if you're wrong?" Your heart will ache to go back. But you must remember, every time you choose peace over chaos, you're rewriting your identity. You're telling the world, "I value myself enough to leave." You're teaching your mind that not everything deserves your reaction. It's not about pride. It's about discipline. It's not about bitterness. It's about boundaries. You can't create peace in your life while constantly inviting conflict to dinner. You can't grow while standing in places that drain you. You can't rise while gripping what's beneath you. You have to let go to grow. That's the rule. When you start walking away from noise, something powerful happens. Your energy returns. Your mind clears. Your intuition strengthens. You start hearing yourself again. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of information. Every step away from chaos is a step closer to clarity. Every time you leave what no longer fits, you make room for what's aligned. That's the reward. You won't find peace in control. You'll find it in surrender. You won't find freedom in attachment. You'll find it in release. You won't find happiness in chasing. You'll find it in walking away. Walking away is not weakness. It's wisdom. Here's what walking away does for you. It reclaims your time. It restores your energy. It rebuilds your identity. Because when you stop trying to fix everyone, you finally have time to build yourself. When you stop explaining your worth, you finally start living it. When you stop running after peace, you finally realize it's been waiting for you all along. That's what happens when you master detachment. You stop chasing closure, and you start creating calm. You realize not everything that breaks deserves to be rebuilt. Some things collapse so you can rebuild you. So let's repeat this truth until it becomes instinct. Walking away is not weakness. It's wisdom. Walking away is not rejection. It's redirection. Walking away is not the end. It's the beginning of freedom. You don't need to stay where you're not respected. You don't need to explain why you left. You don't need to apologize for protecting your peace. You have a choice.
Stay stuck and drained, or walk away and rise. Because you can't fly while clinging to what's falling. You can't grow while holding what's gone. Let go. Leave cleanly. Walk quietly. Because power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just walks out and never looks back. You've learned now that control isn't about domination. It's about detachment. You've learned that real strength is not in fighting harder, but in knowing when to stop fighting at all. You've learned that peace doesn't arrive when things are fixed. It arrives when you walk away from what can't be fixed. But now you'll take this further, because walking away is the first step to reclaiming your center. And once you've reclaimed it, you must learn how to protect it. You've learned how to walk away from noise. Now it's time to master silence, the kind of silence that builds clarity, power, and presence. Next chapter, The Strength of Stillness. How Silence Rebuilds Power.
Chapter 7. Rejection is Redirection. Rejection doesn't reduce you. It redirects you. That's the truth. That's the shift. That's the freedom you've been avoiding. You think rejection means failure. You think rejection means you weren't enough. You think rejection means the door is closed for good. It's not. Rejection is not punishment. Rejection is protection. Rejection is redirection. It's life saying, that's not your path. It's the universe clearing distractions you were too emotionally attached to release. It's the invisible guidance that pulls you away from the wrong thing before it destroys you. You don't need to fear rejection. You need to understand it. Every rejection hurts because it feels personal. It feels like you were denied, dismissed, or devalued. But that's only because you attached your worth to the outcome. You wanted it to work. You wanted them to choose you. You wanted the opportunity, the relationship, the validation. But here's the hard truth. You can't control who chooses you. You can only control who you become. That's the key. When you detach from outcomes, rejection loses its power. Because it's not about what happened. It's about what's next. Rejection is feedback. It's information. It's direction. It's the world saying, not this way, not yet, not here. Rejection doesn't reduce you. It redirects you. Think about the biggest rejections in your life. The ones that broke you, embarrassed you, humbled you. Look back now. What happened after? You grew. You evolved. You became sharper. You found something better, someone better. Or maybe you found yourself. At the time, you thought it was over, but it wasn't an ending. It was a redirection. You didn't lose. You were guided. That's the truth most people never see because they're too busy crying over closed doors instead of walking toward open ones. The world tells you to never take rejection personally, but let's be honest, that's easier said than done. It hurts. It stings. It shakes your confidence. But the goal isn't to stop feeling it. The goal is to stop believing it defines you. Because rejection doesn't mean you're not valuable. It just means that value wasn't recognized in that environment. It just means your timing, your place, your alignment wasn't right. It's not about your worth. It's about your direction. You have to remind yourself, rejection doesn't reduce you. It redirects you. Here's the trap most people fall into. They personalize rejection instead of professionalizing it. They make it emotional instead of educational. Someone says no, and they internalize it as failure. A door closes, and they think their story is over. A plan falls apart, and they call it bad luck. But rejection is just data. It's feedback. It's the universe saying, this isn't your lane. When you stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically, you evolve. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me?
That's where transformation begins. That's where wisdom forms. Because rejection is the training ground of resilience. You can't grow without friction. You can't mature without loss. You can't gain direction without first being rerouted. That's the process. Let's make it practical. When rejection happens, pause. Don't panic, don't spiral, don't react.
Instead, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this rejection protecting me? Maybe that job, relationship, or opportunity wasn't aligned. Maybe it would have drained you. Maybe it would have distracted you. Rejection is often redirection away from pain you can't see yet. What is this rejection teaching me? Maybe you needed humility. Maybe you needed patience. Maybe you needed to sharpen your skill before the next door opens. Every no carries a lesson if you listen without ego. Where can I redirect this energy? Instead of obsessing over what didn't work, focus on what you can control. Redirect your energy to improvement, not resentment. That's how rejection becomes fuel, not friction. That's how you turn pain into power. Here's the truth. Rejection feels like death to your ego, but it's birth to your purpose. Because when life removes what's not meant for you, it's making room for what is. When someone walks away, it's creating space for alignment. When something fails, it's clearing your vision. But most people can't see that because they're too busy staring at the closed door, crying over it, analyzing it, wishing it would open again. You can't receive what's next if you're still worshiping what's over. You can't move forward if your energy is anchored backward. You have to let rejection do its work. It's not there to hurt you. It's there to humble you, guide you, and prepare you. That's the lesson. That's the design. Rejection doesn't reduce you, it redirects you. Let me remind you of something powerful. Every great person you admire, every leader, artist, entrepreneur, thinker, has been rejected. They've been ignored, doubted, dismissed, and criticized. But what separates them from the rest? They didn't stop. They didn't beg for acceptance. They didn't chase what closed. They redirected. They turned every no into another step forward. They built when others quit. They walked away when others waited for permission. That's discipline. That's detachment. That's strength. You have the same choice. You can let rejection break you, or you can let it build you. You can see it as failure, or you can see it as feedback. You can chase the door that closed, or you can trust the one that's opening. That's the difference between frustration and freedom. Here's what happens when you stop fearing rejection. You stop hesitating. You stop people-pleasing. You stop overthinking every move. Because rejection can't destroy you when it doesn't define you. When you detach from outcomes, you gain control over yourself. You no longer measure your value by who says yes or who says no. You measure it by who you become in the process. That's emotional maturity. That's mastery. You stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. You stop living in fear and start living in purpose. Because rejection doesn't close your path, it clarifies it. Say it again. Rejection doesn't reduce you, it redirects you. Every no refines you. Every closed door strengthens you. Every setback shapes you. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and thank every rejection that rerouted your life. You'll realize nothing was taken, everything was replaced. You'll understand that peace came not from being accepted, but from learning you didn't need acceptance to move forward. That's real power. That's detachment in action. Rejection doesn't reduce you, it redirects you. You've learned now that rejection isn't the end, it's the turning point. You've learned that every no carries direction and every closed door carries protection. You've learned that when you stop chasing validation, rejection loses its sting. But now it's time to take that resilience one step deeper, because when rejection builds strength, stillness builds power. And to master detachment, you must master calm. You've learned to walk away from what's not aligned. Now you'll learn to stay still, to harness your energy, sharpen your awareness, and reclaim control from the inside out. Next chapter, The Calm Mind Wins, How Stillness Creates Power.
Chapter 8. The calm mind wins every battle. Calm is not passive. Calm is power. That's the truth the world doesn't teach you, because the world celebrates noise. It rewards reaction. It glorifies chaos. But chaos doesn't win. Clarity does. And clarity lives in calm. Every battle, mental, emotional, or physical, is won by the one who keeps their mind steady when everyone else breaks. When emotion rises, logic dies. When panic takes over, precision disappears. When the mind shakes, the mission fails. That's why calm isn't a luxury, it's a weapon. You have a choice. You can live as a reactor or as a ruler. And rulers don't react, they respond. Because response requires calm. And calm creates control. Think about it. The best negotiators don't talk over the room, they wait. They listen. They read the tone. They measure their words like currency. While others rush to fill silence, they use silence as strategy. The best athletes, they move slower than the chaos around them. Their body might be fast, but their mind is still. They see what others can't because their awareness is wider than the noise. And the best soldiers, the ones who survive, they don't let fear control their trigger. They breathe before they act, because panic costs precision, and precision wins wars. That's the pattern. That's the proof. That's the law. Calm is not passive. Calm is power. But here's the problem. You've been conditioned to confuse calm with weakness. You think being calm means being soft. You think silence means surrender. You think stillness means doing nothing. You're wrong. Calm isn't inaction, it's intelligent action. It's not the absence of energy, it's the direction of it. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being emotionally disciplined. That's the key. Because when you're calm, you control your energy. When you control your energy, you control your outcome. And when you control your outcome, you control your life. But when you're reactive, you hand your power away. You let other people decide your state. You let emotion decide your words. You let noise decide your moves. You become a puppet, not a player. That's why emotional control isn't optional, it's essential. Because in every situation, the calm mind wins. Let's make it real. You're in a heated argument. Someone raises their voice, attacks your character, crosses a line. What's your instinct? To match their energy, to fight back, to prove your point. But every time you match chaos, you multiply it. Every time you argue with noise, you become noise. And once you're emotional, you lose the high ground. You don't need to shout to win. You don't need to react to stay strong. You don't need to prove yourself to people who thrive on provoking you.
You need to stay calm, because calm confuses chaos. Calm disarms aggression. Calm ends battles without blood. That's control. That's composure. That's victory. Calm is not passive. Calm is power. Here's the truth. Emotional chaos clouds judgment. It makes you impulsive, not intentional. It makes you fast, but not effective. It makes you loud, but not heard. Every major mistake you've ever made started with a moment of emotion. You said something you didn't mean. You acted before thinking. You moved before understanding. And then you paid for it. Because chaos always collects a cost. You can't see clearly when your mind is shaking. You can't make strong decisions from a storm. Calm is your clarity. It's your strategy. It's your stability. The calm mind doesn't rush. It reads the room. It waits for the right move. It lets emotion exhaust itself before acting. That's why calm people win. They make moves, not mistakes. So how do you train calm? Because it's not natural. It's not instinct. It's discipline.
Here's how you build it. Step 1, breathe before you move. When something triggers you, stop. Inhale, hold, exhale. You're not avoiding the moment, you're mastering it. Because breathing buys you time, and time builds clarity. You can't think when you're tense. You can't lead when you're heated. The first breath is your first boundary. Step 2, speak last. In a meeting, in an argument, in a debate, let everyone else burn their energy first. Watch, listen, learn. Because power belongs to the one who doesn't rush to speak. When you finally do talk, your words will hit harder because they come from composure, not chaos. Step 3, stop feeding emotional fires. Most people stay stuck in drama because they keep adding oxygen to it. They keep replying, explaining, reacting. Silence is your extinguisher. Stillness is your strength. You don't need to engage in every conflict. You win more by conserving energy than by spending it on noise. That's how calm becomes command. And make no mistake, this isn't easy. Calm takes practice. Because the world wants you triggered. Social media thrives on outrage. Relationships test your patience. Life throws chaos your way every single day. But that's your training ground. Every time you resist the urge to react, you're sharpening your control. Every time you stay centered while others lose it, you're building your discipline. Every time you choose peace over panic, you're proving your strength. That's emotional endurance. That's mental toughness. Because it's not about never feeling anger. It's about not letting anger lead. It's not about avoiding confrontation. It's about approaching it with composure. It's not about escaping emotion. It's about elevating above it. That's the difference between being emotional and being powerful. Think about the last time you overreacted. You lost your peace for what? A few seconds of satisfaction? You raised your voice, sent the message, slammed the door, and what changed? Nothing. Because emotional victory is temporary, strategic calm wins permanently. The calm mind doesn't chase validation. It doesn't crave reaction. It doesn't lose itself to prove a point. It chooses direction over drama, purpose over pride, peace over performance. That's not weakness, that's strength. Because calm is the highest form of control. Calm is not passive. Calm is power. Let me give you one last truth. When you are calm, you can't be controlled. People can manipulate your emotion, but not your awareness. They can provoke a reaction, but not break stillness. They can test your boundaries, but not shake your foundation. Because calm is armor. It protects your energy. It shields your focus. It keeps you dangerous without being destructive. You don't have to prove that you're unbothered. Your calm proves it for you. You don't have to announce that you're in control. Your silence says it louder. That's the paradox of real power. The more still you become, the more unstoppable you are. Calm isn't the absence of motion. It's mastery of momentum. You don't need to be loud to win. You just need to be level. Calm is not passive. Calm is power. You've learned now that chaos destroys control, and calm creates it. You've learned that emotion clouds vision, and calm brings clarity. You've learned that every battle in business, in relationships, in life is won not by force, but by focus. But now, it's time to take calm to its highest form, to transform it from reaction control into energy control. Because calm doesn't just help you think, it helps you charge. It helps you rebuild your strength, refocus your purpose, and reconnect with your inner power. You've mastered composure. Now you'll master energy. Next chapter, the energy of stillness. How to recharge your power from within.
Chapter 9. The Strength of Stillness. Stillness restores energy. Silence rebuilds strength. That's not poetry, that's power. In a world addicted to motion, stillness feels like weakness. But it's not. It's strategy. It's recovery. It's renewal. You think strength means doing more, but real strength means doing less with more awareness. Stillness is not the absence of progress. Stillness is the foundation of progress. It's where the mind resets. It's where clarity forms. It's where discipline deepens. When you stop chasing noise, you start hearing truth. When you stop running, you start remembering who you are. When you stop reacting, you start ruling. Stillness restores energy. Silence rebuilds strength. That's the law. You've been trained to keep moving, to fill every second with sound, with scrolling, with stimulation. Because society fears silence. It equates stillness with laziness. It confuses rest with weakness. But you're not meant to move all the time. You're meant to be. You can't build power in constant motion. Even machines overheat. Even warriors rest. The strongest people you'll ever meet know when to step back. They know that recharging isn't quitting. They know that stillness isn't surrender. It's how you reset your weapon, your mind. Because stillness isn't empty, it's full of focus. That's the key. Stillness restores energy. Silence rebuilds strength. When you sit in silence, something powerful happens. You start to notice things you missed before. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts organize themselves. Your awareness sharpens. And then you realize you were never tired from working. You were tired from thinking too much, reacting too fast, caring too hard. Most exhaustion isn't physical. It's emotional. It's mental clutter. It's noise disguised as necessity. You're drained because you never stop consuming. You're overwhelmed because you never stop responding. You're lost because you never stop moving long enough to find direction. Stillness fixes that. Stillness is not avoidance, it's alignment. It's not running away, it's returning home. You have a choice. You can keep chasing chaos, or you can start choosing calm. Because noise destroys focus. Stillness rebuilds it. Let's make it real. Imagine a lake. When the water is rough, you can't see your reflection. But when it's still, crystal clear, everything becomes visible. That's your mind. When you're restless, when you're reactive, when you're consumed by constant motion, your reflection is distorted. You can't think clearly. You can't see truth. You can't feel peace. But when you slow down, when you sit still, the noise settles and clarity rises. That's why stillness is strength. Because strength begins with awareness, and awareness only comes from quiet. Stillness restores energy. Silence rebuilds strength. Say it again until it sinks in. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing one thing with full presence. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you breathe, breathe. When you rest, rest. Stop multitasking your life. Because scattered attention creates scattered energy. You can't win wars externally while losing peace internally. You can't lead others if you can't lead your own mind. You can't master the world
if you can't master yourself. That's the discipline of stillness. It's not laziness, it's leadership. It's not withdrawal, it's wisdom. You don't need to respond to every message instantly. You don't need to fill every silence with sound. You don't need to chase every thought that crosses your mind. You need to stop, breathe, observe. Stillness is a skill, and like all skills, it's trained through repetition.
Here's how to practice it. Step 1. Schedule silence. Every day, carve out 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no movement. Just breathe. Sit with yourself. Let your thoughts pass like clouds. Don't chase them. You'll feel uncomfortable at first. That's the detox. Because silence exposes what distraction hides. Your fears, your insecurities, your truth. That's why most people avoid it. But discomfort is data. It's showing you where the work needs to happen. Step 2. Protect your solitude. You don't need to be surrounded to feel significant. You don't need constant company to feel whole. Learn to enjoy your own presence. Because solitude builds strength that crowds can't give. Alone doesn't mean lonely. It means focused. It means centered. It means free. Step 3. Simplify your inputs. Most of your stress isn't from what's happening. It's from what you're consuming. Too much news, too many opinions, too much comparison. Simplify. Consume less, create more. Observe more, react less. Because silence outside builds silence inside. That's how stillness becomes strength. You have to understand, the calm mind is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without stillness, you can't think clearly. Without clarity, you can't decide wisely. Without wise decisions, you can't live powerfully. Stillness is the space between reaction and response. It's where chaos loses its control. It's where power returns to your hands. Because power is not about force. It's about focus. It's not about noise. It's about direction. And direction is born in stillness. That's why meditation, prayer, journaling, silence, whatever form it takes for you, are not spiritual luxuries. They're survival tools. They're how warriors recharge. They're how thinkers reset. They're how leaders sustain. Stillness restores energy. Silence rebuilds strength. Here's the truth. When you become still, you become magnetic. Because stillness radiates confidence. It commands attention without demanding it. It speaks louder than words. It shows that you're in control of yourself. And that's the rarest power of all. The world moves fast, but you don't have to. The strongest move slow. The wisest wait. The calmest win. You don't need to chase pace. You need to control rhythm. You don't need to prove you're busy. You need to prove you're balanced. Stillness restores energy. Silence rebuilds strength. And when you live that truth, you stop reacting to the world and start shaping it. Let's be honest. Stillness takes courage. Because silence makes you confront yourself. It removes distractions. It forces reflection. That's why most people avoid it. They're terrified of what they'll hear in the quiet. But that's exactly why you must enter it. Stillness reveals your truth. And truth is the foundation of peace. When you know who you are, the noise can't shake you. When you trust your inner voice, the world can't mislead you. When you protect your silence, You protect your strength. That's mastery. That's maturity. That's mental freedom. Stillness restores energy. Silence rebuilds strength. You have a choice. Keep chasing the noise and stay drained. Or build stillness and stay dangerous. Because stillness is not the end of movement. It's the start of mastery. It's not what happens when you stop. It's what happens when you start listening. Stop mistaking motion for meaning. Stop confusing noise with progress. Stop thinking you need to do more to become more. You just need to be more present. Because presence is power, and presence is born in stillness. You've learned now that noise drains energy, but silence restores it. You've learned that stillness is not a pause, it's preparation. You've learned that your strength doesn't come from how much you move, but from how deeply you're rooted. But now, it's time to take stillness to its highest level, from presence to power. Because once you're grounded and calm, you can project it into the world. You've learned how to protect your peace. Now, you'll learn how to use it to influence every room you walk into. Next chapter, the power of presence, how quiet confidence commands any room.
Chapter 10. Freedom is letting go. Let go. Breathe. You are free. That's the message. That's the truth. That's the final lesson. Freedom isn't found in control. Freedom is found in release. Freedom begins the moment you stop gripping what's already gone. The strongest version of you doesn't come from holding tighter. It comes from letting go. Of fear. Of attachment. Of expectations. Of people who no longer align with your peace. That's detachment in its highest form. Not distance, not coldness, but freedom. Because when you let go, you stop being controlled by everything you can't control. You stop living on emotional autopilot. You stop trying to bend the world to your will and start aligning with reality instead. Let go. Breathe. You are free. Most people live like prisoners, chained not by walls but by their own attachments. They cling to people who drain them. They chase outcomes that exhaust them. They replay mistakes that no longer exist. They say they want peace, but they refuse to release what destroys it. They confuse attachment with love. They confuse control with safety. They confuse resistance with strength. But here's the truth. Holding on is easy. It's instinct. Letting go takes discipline. That's the real work. That's the real freedom. You have a choice. Keep fighting for control, or surrender to what is and finally rest in who you are. That's the key. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means you're done carrying what was never yours. You're not giving up on people. You're giving up on trying to fix them. You're not giving up on your dreams. You're giving up on forcing the timing. You're not giving up on effort. You're giving up on control. Because control is an illusion. You never had it. You never will. You can only guide your own actions, not the outcomes. The storm will come whether you fight it or not. The question is, can you stay calm in the rain? Can you remain centered when everything around you falls apart? That's detachment. That's emotional mastery. That's freedom. Let go. Breathe. You are free. Let's be clear. Letting go isn't forgetting. It's forgiving. It's acceptance. It's closure without conversation. It's saying, this happened. It hurt, but it no longer defines me. You stop waiting for the apology. You stop chasing the validation.
You stop replaying the story. You simply release. Because every time you hold on to anger, you chain yourself to the past. Every time you hold on to fear, you trap yourself in the future. Every time you hold on to control, you suffocate the present. You have to learn to trust that what's meant for you won't require you to beg, chase, or suffer. It will align naturally, because peace doesn't fight for space. That's the secret. That's the truth. Let go. Breathe. You are free. You see, letting go isn't passive. It's powerful. It's the ultimate act of trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in timing. Trust in life. You stop needing to know everything. You stop needing to control everyone. You stop needing to predict every move. You start allowing. You start flowing. You start becoming. Because when you're attached, you resist. And when you resist, you suffer. But when you let go, everything falls into place, not because it magically gets easier, but because you stop fighting reality. That's liberation. Freedom isn't about changing your world. It's about changing your relationship to the world. You can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf. You can't stop the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You can't dictate outcomes, but you can direct your response. That's what letting go gives you. Not less control, but more command. Here's how to practice it. Step 1. Identify what you're gripping. Ask yourself, what am I afraid to lose? Because whatever you're afraid to lose is what controls you. Is it someone's approval? Is it an outcome you're forcing? Is it an image you're trying to protect? Name it. See it. Then ask, what would happen if I stopped holding it so tight? You'll realize nothing breaks. You just breathe. Step 2. Replace attachment with awareness. When your mind starts clinging, pause. Don't suppress it. Observe it. Notice the story behind it, because attachment is just fear wearing a mask. You don't need to fight it. You just need to see it clearly. And awareness dissolves attachment faster than effort ever will.
Step 3. Surrender daily. Every morning, remind yourself, I will give my best and I will release the rest. Write it down. Say it out loud. Because surrender is not one decision. It's a daily discipline. You keep letting go until it becomes natural, until peace becomes your default setting. That's mastery. That's control through surrender. Letting go doesn't mean detaching from life. It means detaching from the illusion that life must go your way. You can still love deeply, work hard, dream big, but without the chains of expectation. You act with full effort, but zero attachment. You give everything, but you don't chase anything. You trust that what's meant for you will stay, and what's not will fade. Because peace doesn't come from winning every battle. It comes from not needing to fight them all. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. You don't need to control everything anymore. You don't need to hold so tight anymore. Let go. Breathe. You are free. Think about this. The tree doesn't cling to last season's leaves. It lets them fall. It trusts that spring will come again. That's nature's wisdom, the same wisdom you've forgotten. You keep trying to resurrect what's already done. You keep watering what no longer grows. You keep waiting for people to understand what they're not meant to. Let go. Freedom begins where expectation ends. Peace begins where resistance stops. Joy begins where acceptance starts. You can't hold on and move forward at the same time. Something has to release, and that something is your need for control. Letting go isn't losing power. It's taking it back. It's saying I no longer live in reaction to life. I live in flow with it. That's emotional intelligence. That's spiritual maturity.
That's inner peace. Here's the paradox. When you let go, life gives you more, because you're finally open to receive. Opportunities appear because you're no longer forcing them. People respect you because you're no longer begging for them. Peace returns because you're no longer chasing it. That's the magic of surrender. That's the art of detachment. That's the essence of freedom. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to hold everything. Let go. Breathe. You are free. So, take this with you. Let go of needing to be right. Let go of needing to be liked. Let go of needing to be perfect. Let go of needing to control outcomes. You are not here to grip life. You are here to flow with it. Every time you let go, you rise higher. Every time you release, you return to your center. Every time you breathe, you remember, peace was never gone. It was just buried under control. Freedom is not in fighting harder. Freedom is in trusting deeper. Let go. Breathe. You are free. You've learned now that detachment is not distance, it's direction. You've learned that peace is not passive, it's powerful. You've learned that freedom is not the absence of responsibility, it's the presence of surrender. And now you understand, everything you were trying to control was controlling you. The moment you let go, you took your power back. So walk forward lighter, speak softer, live freer, because you've earned it. Let go. Breathe. You are free. End of book. The Art of Detachment. How to Stop Caring and Take Back Control.